Word spreads about the called-off wedding as toxic Tane and Harper battle over the birth. Marley says catch feelings, not flights. Theo is caught in the act, betraying a river boy. And Eliza is the only one with Harper when she goes into labour. But will she help or hinder?
Yeah, all right, Palmer. I know. Yeah, well, this is me apologising, okay? The girl shouldn't have bailed. Yeah, well, trust me, she'll learn not to shirk her responsibilities. Righto, Palmer, you do that. Did you get all that?
How'd you know I was here?
A lifetime of listening to those stairs creak. Those jobs aren't going anywhere, you know.
I can't do them tomorrow. I'll be with Harper.
Do I strike you as the sort of bloke who's going to fold like an old pair of dacks?
What?
When you finish with Harper tomorrow, I expect to see you at the bait shop.
That's up to Rue, isn't it? Besides, I should be getting paid for doing your jobs. It's not my fault you're old.
Let's get one thing straight, young lady. You're not going to get the better of me. I'm going to teach you respect if it's over my dead body. You got it?
You done?
We are Si and Sophie. This is Coastal News, a home and away podcast, your weekly episode companion podcast for your favourite Aussie soap.
Will this podcast leave a scar?
Stain. I'm not sure about a scar.
I love stain. Oh, that's something else.
Oh, dear. Possibly. Depends how excited we get. Who knows?
How are you? Are you
all right.
okay?
I'm all right, thank you. Are you?
Yes, I'm good, thank you. Another week. We'll meet again in these treacherous halls of Yabby Creek Studios.
Yeah, it's a bit creepy. It's a bit creepy out of hours.
It's not the only thing bloody creepy around here these days. We're hot off like Friday night's episode, aren't we? It's all going on. How's it been for you?
It's been a week of two halves, to coin your turn of phrase. First half of the week was too much Harper and Tane, arguing. I've seen enough of that to last me a lifetime. Second half of the week, oh my god, for an Alf fan, Mr. Stewart fan, His Majesty to you. Then it's been quite glorious having him back and the scenes that we've had. So I've loved the end of the week, definitely.
That's interesting to me. Already we're off. You're interested in me.
Ooh.
Because last week you were really looking forward to the wedding fallout. So did it not pan out like you thought it would?
No, I mean, I'm glad it's over. I'm glad it's not on. I'm glad she came to her senses. But then immediately, I don't know what they're doing with Harper, and I'll talk about it later, but they're just not endearing her to me. And all these decisions she keeps making, I'm like, I want to like you. I want to sympathise with you, but you're being a blaming idiot. So, that whole, you can't see the baby, I'm going to be a single mom thing. I was like, you're hurting. Like, give it a few days. Go away. Don't lash out in anger. Like, this is just,
I know, but people do, don't they?
I know.
People do.
I know. I've seen enough. I've seen enough of them arguing to last me
Well,
an actual lifetime.
there is that, isn't there? There is that.
Do you love me? No.
Next.
No, he doesn't.
Right. Like you say, I'm sure we'll get on to it. Should we talk about this week's Home and Away?
Yeah, I mean, how did you find the week? Are you feeling the same as me, or?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the whole lot. Really, I quite liked the fallout of the wedding, the first half of the week. I'm glad they were separate, because then it means I could park that, draw a line, and move on. And when we came back to Harper and Tane, it wasn't about the wedding fallout. It was about baby and the next bit that, it's propelling forward again. So I was quite happy with that. But yeah, I'll tell you, I'm finding it unmissable lately. Like, there's not a story that I'm not into at the moment. So I'm just, itching for the next step all the time.
That's good. It's a good place to be.
Yeah, I think the pacing's great. I said last week, I think the whole year's been a bit of a step up. But I think it's paced well. I think the writing's strong. I think the actors are knocking it out of the park, and there's nothing to hate for me at the minute.
That's great.
Yeah.
God,
I'm loving the characters I'm supposed to. I'm loathing the ones I'm supposed to. Everything's working out at the moment. So
you may have jinxed it.
Yeah.
We'll see. Watch this space.
Yes, it's out it's out now. It's out loud. Should we talk about it?
Yes.
So, Levi is enjoying making a baby this week. So much so that they also weren't even planning on going to this wedding, let alone Harper. Turns out it was too windy for a wedding anyway, that blooming weather in Summer Bay this week.
Jesus, yeah.
Yeah, imagine that. As someone who had a beach wedding and we tried to, it was nothing like that. That looked gale force, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
But there was a bit of a breeze and we were trying to light candles,
Oh, no.
Got to try it. You know what I'm like, I'll fill a silence. So,
oh, no.
Cracking jokes, trying to light this bloody candle. So, yeah, can you imagine trying to do that? Her hair would have been everywhere.
Yeah.
Now, over at Tane's, Cash is there. On behalf of Harper, he's returning the engagement ring. She is, like you said, really hurting, and she's a woman scorned, isn't she? She's like, giving back the ring. So Cash is the delivery man, Posty and a Popo. And he also has to cancel the photo booth. Don't forget that. So much to think about cancelling this wedding. Everyone's running around cancelling everything. I must say, they missed an opportunity not having that photo booth delivered to Harper's house or something. And yeah, and then it's a bit of a cheer me up, isn't it? Dana and her getting in there with the funny glasses on.
Oh yeah.
We've got the photo booth anyway.
Yeah, true.
I think they missed a trick.
That could have been good. Yeah, you're right. I thought you meant just to make her feel really sad. I was like, that's really harsh.
Well, it's a bit of a wham. It's a bit of a wham. You've cancelled your wedding a bit late, but also it's here now. Let's just have a bit of fun.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Word is slowly getting around the bay that it is off, and it is going very slowly because half the bay are already dressed and leaving the house to go to this wedding. But it is getting around slowly the news that the wedding's off. And Harper texts Tane. I do that a lot, don't I?
I did it all last week.
Maybe that's where I got it from. Harper texts Tane, and she wants to meet up with him, and they meet at the beach, and Tane's like, look, let's co-parent, Archie lives with you, nothing has to change, and she's open to meeting, but then quickly, when he says that nothing has to change, she immediately is hurt by that, because for her, and she says it, to be fair to her, everything's changed. Her whole life's just changed in the last couple of hours. How dare you even say that? We need to carry on as we are, because he doesn't feel the same loss that she does. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So of course, everything's changed. So she reacts, doesn't she, in the moment? Tells him she'll do it on her own. Doesn't want you at the birth. Doesn't want you in his life, she says at one point, and sort of leaves him to it. Of course, that kicks him in the nuts, doesn't it? Because that's what that's all. It's all about the kid. Been the whole thing all the way through. And Cash goes to check on him later on. He's livid about it. My son's coming. He needs to know his deed. And Cash says, look, take it from someone who knows, lad. You don't get to call the shots when you break someone's heart. Talking from experience, obviously. Mirroring what he and Eden have been going through, where he's been forced to take a step back and go at Eden's pace. Is Tane in the wrong, Sophie, to be so upset at Harper saying 0121, I don't want you around. Should he be more compassionate, do you think, and more sympathetic towards her? Of course, she's not going to want him around. Or do you think she's more out of order? Where are you lying with it?
It's a difficult one, this, because I can see that they've both got a point. I can also want to hit both of them in the head and say, just step back for a minute. Everybody's, like you say, the emotions are high. She's 9 months pregnant. That's going to be affecting how she's thinking and feeling and everything else at the moment. It's a really extraordinary situation to be in. You're going to lash out. You're going to say stuff you regret. You just need time apart. And I think this was actually Dana's fault. And I don't want to cuss out Dana, because I know you're a big fan of Dana, but it was her that put the idea into Harper's head. She was like, I know your wedding's just been called off, but what are you going to do about the whole parenting thing and the baby thing? And the baby's coming in like 2 days, and you need to talk to Tane about it. And Harper was first of all like, can I just have 5 minutes to breathe? And I was like, yeah, that's what you need to do. You need 5 minutes just to get your head around everything that's just happened, and then start to think about the future, and then start to plan it, but not rushing. Like literally the morning they're supposed to be getting married, they're meeting on the beach to have a conversation about the baby. That's going to be emotional. Wasn't the right time. And
no, too highly charged going in, wasn't it?
Absolutely. So, and I feel like it's kind of done her a disservice, because it's made her look reactionary, emotional, crazy. You know what I mean? Like, she's gone, right, you can't have anything with the baby. And I get why she's saying it. I just wish that we hadn't had to go down that route, because it makes her look awful. And it kind of, it's attempting to make Tane look like the victim, like it's being done to him, and but I don't want to side with him either, because I'm like, he should be backing off as well. He should be thinking, putting himself in her shoes and going, right, her whole world's just fallen apart and she needs a minute. And like, she doesn't mean this, and she's lashing out. And of course I'm going to see my kid. And even if she tries to take him away from me, I've got legal rights to do this, that, and the other. So take a minute, step back, and don't get all in her face about it. So I don't know. It's difficult. I don't know whose side I'm on, really, because I'm in the middle.
Fair enough. I think he should have been expecting it. I think he should have thought, you know what, she's hurt, she's lashing out. I'll give her a couple of days and I'll try and talk to her again. I think the problem is here, the pressure's on that this baby was coming in exactly 3 days, and I think if that wasn't if that deadline wasn't there, he might have done. You know, you might have gone, you know what, she's in water off a duck's back. I'll try again in a couple of days. I think that's not helping, that pressure of the cesarean being booked in 3 days later.
That's true.
It reminded me of in my parents' divorce. So it's just another example in life of when you sort of need to take space a bit and just calm down and just think. Because you're not thinking logically, rationally, are you? And and your emotions sometimes take over your head in these situations. And I remember my mum and dad were splitting up, and it was a whole new thing. My dad, we were having to be sent to my dad on a weekend or whatever. My mum had dropped us. My mum used to work on a Saturday, so in the morning it was very new, this whole dropping us at my dad's, who was at my nana's. So I remember us being dropped off in the morning, mum gone to work, and my dad had introduced us during the day without talking to my mum to his girlfriend. And so she picked us up at 5:10 or whatever, and we jumped in the car, me and my brother. We were like, oh my god, we've had such a good day, we've met Debbie, and Debbie took us to the zoo, and Debbie made us have ice cream, and she's allowed us to do this, and then we were playing video games all day with Debbie.
Oh no.
I remember because you're just kids, aren't you, right?
Yeah.
So I just my mum just went, stay here. She got out of the car. She got out of the car, knocked on my nana's door. My dad answered it, and she smacked him one across the face. And me and my brother were in the back of the car going, oh shit.
Oh no! Oh, bless you! I'm dying.
And my mum wouldn't let us see my dad or my dad's family for 2 weeks then, because she was like, livid about it, but obviously eventually she came round. But a good example of communicating and taking time to let the dust settle so you can see the see the way. But yeah,
oh bless. Yeah, definitely.
it reminded me of
a
that.
heads up in that situation. Is it okay if I do this? No, it's not actually. I think it's too early and I'm not happy with it. Okay, I'll respect your feelings. You just have to put yourself in someone else's shoes sometimes but people are very bad at that, aren't they? So
yeah. But and then obviously we're like, why can't we see Dad? Why can't we see Nana? Why can't we see Auntie? And then my mum was doing that because she was hurting, and then it was like a couple of weeks later, she was like, okay, I've been out of order, sort of thing. Yeah. And that's all she needed, and it's the same with Harper.
If she'd been given a heads up and then had 2 weeks to get her head around it, she wouldn't have had to kick off. You know what I mean? It's like, she'd have been like, "Oh God, yeah, I don't want this to happen, but let me go away and think about it and rationalize it." And then the anger and the emotions taken away. Then, but if you just sprung on you like that, you react how you react, and you don't know what you're going to do until you're in that situation.
No. Sometimes it's that red mist, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's happened with Harper. I think she's just seen red because she's hurt. And he said, nothing's changing, doesn't need to change. And the red mist has took over, basically.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, she'll calm down.
Oh, dear.
Now, she does actually meet him halfway. This whole, birth situation, is he going to be at the birth? And she's like, I'll think about it, doesn't she? She doesn't really immediately commit to it, but she does say she'll think about it. He does try to speak to her later in the week, but she's still cold and distant, so it's all up in the air whether he's even going to be there. People are asking about it. John's asking him in the street if he's about the birth. He doesn't know the answer, does he? And I think he's right to stay clear and give her that time. So now we've got Harper, by the way, learning that because she has this lovely heart-to-heart with Maz. I'm loving Maz being at Irene's and Harper there.
Yeah.
Scenes that we wouldn't normally get. But we learn that, of course, Harper doesn't know that John and Maz were married. You take that for granted, that everyone knows everything, don't you?
Not even fans of the show know that, though. I've had to remind people they were married. It's not something that comes up very often on the show, is it, nowadays?
It isn't, no. I tell you, I read a really nice comment on one of the forums this week about, this whole talking about past stuff. And some people sort of just want to bang on about the past all the time because other shows do it. And this show gets a little sort of... And rightly so, yeah. But rightly so gets a bit of stick for not doing it enough. And we've been part of that at times. But someone made a good comment saying... Some of these characters, if you kept talking about the past or kept bringing things back from the past and referring to it, they can't make mistakes. And in the present. And for them to have good story, they need to be flawed. And if you keep sort of reminding people that, for example, with Marilyn, if you keep reminding us that she was married and then that puts that on her. And she had a baby in Broken Hill, not 5. Then the whole point of her now is that is a bit of a sordid secret of her past.
Yes.
And that flaw exists. If she keeps going back to it and making amends, and then that character comes back and lives in the bay, then that's not good story, is it? There's nothing. She's not moving on.
No.
It'll become stale quite quick. And I thought it got me thinking. That's quite an interesting take.
Yeah, I like that.
On that argument.
With that Marilyn example as well, like obviously that was a big secret for ages, and the whole retcon thing with it would be weird for her to have that secret for so long and then just tell every Tom, Dick and Harry that came to the bay about her daughter. You know what I mean? It would be that would be out of character, wouldn't it? Because she kept it secret for so long and been ashamed about it almost for so long. And let's face it didn't have a happy ending because she ended up in the psych ward, didn't she?
Yeah.
So it's not in keeping with Marilyn for her to then be banging on about it to everybody and everybody know all of her business, because she is very private as well, Marilyn. So
I
agree with that. I agree.
it doesn't need to be a hi, I'm Marilyn. I was married to John.
No, no. But some people are like that. Some people, you meet them and you've known them for years, and you don't know very much about them, and you don't know about things that have happened to them. And it's when they trust you and they confide in you and they go, oh, and then this happened, and you're like, whoa, I didn't know. And then other people, you meet them on the first day, you know everything. Like they almost trauma dump everything on you, and you're like, that's a lot of information. And that's just how people are. And I think that is also important to have the contrast on a soap as well.
Yeah, I agree. And this is a soap that we called it the Shapeshifter, didn't we? Some months back. It changes and morphs into something new all the time. We can't keep harping back to this, although it is important. It's about striking a balance, isn't it? Because you've still got to honour the legacy. Characters that have been there for so long, they don't need to be stuck in that 30 years ago space, because otherwise how do they move on?
Yes.
And I thought it just got me thinking a bit.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter so much with the newer cast, because that changes every 3 or 4 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they can just make up their back history as they go. So,
don't matter, does it?
Yeah.
Who cares? Us for 3 years, very deeply. Kirby's handed a notice in to Marley this week. In a bit of a huff. She could have done it better. She should have done it better, if you ask me. She knew it was coming, and rather than let it build up inside like a pressure cooker and then come out the way it did, she should have been honest and said, I'm getting back into the music. It's a real possibility. I'm going to need to give this up, but I'm trying to do my best. I had to laugh though, because there was one point where Marley was like, "This." She was asking for the afternoon off, and he was like, "This job's so flexible. No, you can't have the afternoon off." I'm like, "All right,
not that flexy."
I know. If it's so flexible, let her write a few lyrics behind the counter while there's absolutely nobody buying anything.
Exactly, or where there's no lessons on or whatever. I didn't understand this at all, right? And I don't know whether you like you've got an answer for me, or whether I've just missed something. I don't know. So she's given up her paid job and she's going into the studio and she's paying to be in the studio. I know it's Remy's money. I know Remy's bankrolling it, but she's not making any money by being in the studio. She's not going to make any money at all until she's got a completed album that she can then sell, at the end.
Yeah,
I don't understand what's she going to live on. I don't get it.
Well, yeah, because at the moment, as far as we're aware, she's an independent artist.
Yeah.
So
she needs money.
Justin's doing it pro bono by the looks of it.
Yeah.
His management. It's not like she's got a record deal who's bankrolling this album.
No.
She's so I think that's the point she's been making the last few weeks was, I need to keep the job on as long as possible, but I'm going to have to give it up when we go into the studio and what have you and start releasing. But yeah, you're right. There seems to be no income consideration. She's handed a notice in a huff.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm like, I get it, because okay, maybe the album takes a month to make. So you need a month off work so that you can concentrate on doing the album. I get that. And then what about after that? What if the album doesn't sell? What if? You know what I mean? And then in the meantime, I know Remy's paying for the studio time and paying for all the costs and stuff. But is he paying for her coffees and her dinners and her breakfasts?
Yeah.
And I'm a bit lost, unless she's got money in the bank that we don't know about. But
and a makeup and a phone bill and
it's like she's got overheads still, even if she needs a weekend job and then the studio during the week. I don't really get this decision.
I suspect she'll be back.
I
think another week or so, her and Marley will sort the differences out, because he was flapping about being on his own again, wasn't he? And
that's true.
Not having. Yeah, I suspect they'll make up.
It's
Marley
weird.
will sort of come to an arrangement.
I don't know whether you've noticed, but some of the characters can only have one thing at a time. Like Kirby can only have lyric or the board shop, whereas Theo, he's got the garage, he's got this car that he's doing up, he was doing his apprenticeship, he was in lyric at the same time. He had like 3 or 4 different things going on. Whereas for Kirby, it's always been like, I'm a musician or I do this. She can't have more than one thing going on. I find it really odd. And she also can't have more than one friend. Like she's always friendly with one person. At the moment it's Marley. And then everyone else she's not hanging around with.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes it's Brie and nobody else. And sometimes, you know what I mean? It's like, sometimes it was Rose and nobody else. She just seems to be very like one-dimensional. I don't know.
She is.
It's
She
weird.
is. Me and you were talking, weren't we? This for us feels it's a character that shouldn't have existed, right?
Yeah.
There was last minute planned changes, weren't there?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this whole era really has had a couple of characters that have ended up like that. She's one. I would argue Bree's another, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's been a few, haven't there? Remy's not done a great deal.
No, he doesn't even last now.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So there's been, whereas when you look at the amount that's gone into Theo, Eden, look at Eden. She's got a whole
Yeah.
family.
She has, yeah, and a boyfriend and a best friend that died. She had loads of stuff going on.
And she's finally putting a shift in. So no, we can all stop whinging about that online.
Begrudgingly, she's there pouring the wine, going, "Oh, I wish I was someone else, somebody else."
Can you imagine? I think they could do more with that, because can you imagine being Eden, the band, through no fault, no want of hers, is split up. Kirby's give up a job, doing everything. Remy's bankrolling it, and she's sitting there.
Oh yeah,
mopping the floor in salt.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. I think if I was, they could do more with her and her,
I don't know why.
resentment towards that.
Well, I still don't understand. I don't want to keep going about Lyric, but I still don't understand. Okay, Theo took a step back from Lyric. I get that. He had too much going on. The whole Valerie thing, he took a step back. He isn't sure whether he wants to carry on with it, whatever. Remy still seems like he really wants to do the Muso thing. Kirby definitely does. I think Eden does as well. Eden and Kirby can sing. Why do we need Theo? I don't get it.
I don't know.
Why can't we have another Lyric?
Or... I don't know, but don't ask too many questions.
I know. Yeah.
You know what I mean? We are where we are, and we're loving it.
True. I just think it's weird. It's like,
yeah. It feels quite final, Kurt. This feels like an exit, to be honest.
It does, yeah.
And a pretty poor one at that, because it's just rehashing what we thought was her exit 12 months ago. That would be fair to say.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So.
Yeah, we've seen this before. This is actually more downplayed than before as well, because last time it was like wine and dine by fancy record man from the city, and you know, tours and album deals, and this is just her adjusted in the van, just peddling what they can. It feels a bit more
doing the circuits.
It's not as glamorous this time, is it? It's not as like wow, So yeah.
Speaking of wow, Marley and the L-bomb. Abs no like it, runs home. Gate crashes, baby making sesh. Just speak with brother.
Oh God.
Oh no, we'll get through this as fast as possible. You ready?
So did Levi. Yep.
Sorry, I'm just thinking about that picture of him with long hair.
Oh no.
Levi and Abs have quite an emotional conversation, comparing it to their parents and the reason why they're so fucked up, basically. And she can't trust love, she admits, and Levi tells her, look, it's worth the risk. Look at me, loved up, trying for a bambino. It's worth the risk. Next day, she does lay this out to Marley, doesn't she? Which I thought was quite adult of somebody like Abs, to be honest. I didn't think she was going to do this. I thought she would do the whole angsty, don't speak to me. You said you loved me. It was awkward, and then leave Marley hanging for a while. But I'll give credit where credit's due to Abs from 5. She just went to the beach with him, didn't she, and laid it all out. Love's not a me thing. I've got a lot of problems with it. It's not really something that I can trust. And they do end up on a greater understanding, but she stops short at that point of actually saying it back to him. And he doubles down, doesn't he? He doesn't say, look, forget I said it. I freaked you out. Let's just go back to how we were. He doubles down and says, well, this is what I feel. I'm thinking, how? All you've done is bicker. All you've done is bicker, But maybe he loves a challenge. She does eventually, she's scared. She says, it scares the hell out of me, but I do love you and I've got feelings for you. Do we believe her though, Soph? I don't know.
I think she does like him. I think you can tell by the way, I can't remember her blooming name. Is it Haley? Hayley, the actress. You can tell by the
Yes.
way that, she's portraying the scenes. She's the
Mm.
way she looks at him when they're talking and the way that she kind of holds him and kisses him. I do believe that there's feelings there. I do.
Yeah.
It's believable that she would fall in love with him, I think, from how it's not like him and Rose, where it was a bit sister brotherly, where they didn't really look like a couple. They just looked like two people hanging out.
Yeah.
The way she kind of, the body language and the touches on the arm and the way that she kind of holds his gaze, like the eye contact and that kind of thing. It does look like there's feelings behind that acting.
Yeah.
I think. So
Yeah.
I think I can go along with this. I can Jenny this. I think
She's going to proceed with trepidation. I think.
Yeah.
I'm a bit worried because she feels so much younger than him.
Yeah.
I'm a bit like, as he forced her into saying it, as he, does she feel like she has to say it back? And it's a bit more naive from her side. That's where my mind's going.
Yeah.
Because that would be a bit of story, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where I'm thinking that is just something that's niggling away at me as I'm watching that.
I can see that as well, and that, like you said, that would make it more interesting than just like we both love each other and that's the end of the story. So
yeah. Have we still got those? We both love each other. Have we still got any cake left?
Oh, I'm a bit sad for Harper, and I texted you about this, didn't I? I was like, the poor girl has no wedding, and now everybody else is eating the bloody cake. I'd have gone straight down to the diner. I'd have said, Leah, give me the cake, and I'd have gone home, sat on the sofa, and ate that myself.
In your dress.
The whole thing. Oh yeah, in my dress with my tiara on. Yeah.
Yeah. Open the big box and you've been spooning. Yeah, and I'd have helped you, Dal.
Because she can't have any champagne. You know what I mean? Like the one thing she can have is the bloody cake. and Leah's giving it away for free at the diner.
Yeah, that's rude, isn't it? Even though just because she made it.
Yeah, rude.
Mm-hmm. That's so fucking rude. Whatever the kids are doing these days.
I've seen that. I know what you mean. Grandma's seen it. It's trending when I've seen it.
Must be over that trend now.
Oh yeah, that's true. I've killed it now anyway. Admitting I know what it is. Yeah.
Right, Bree is worried about Sonny and his homelessness this week. And she doesn't ring the council or the authorities. She just tells Remy to text him. Even though he's a terrible friend, she says you need to reach out to him. I know he kissed me, but just get over it. I thought, bloody hell, calm down. Do you know what I mean? Justin's also like, I think he's got Theo involved with a load of Riverboy business. So, you know what I mean? He deserves it. I'm thinking, these people need to start learning a bit of the truth now because Sai's getting a bit annoyed. He's even using third person as a result. What is going on? Bree texts him behind Remy's back, and you're like, here we go. Agrees to meet him and forces them all to make up. Actually, it does work. So my worries were unfounded, I think, because I thought there was going to be a big blow up between Remy and Bree. Seems that nobody could be asked writing that, so we just made up.
You're killing me today. Can't breathe.
Do you have a different take?
No. I wholeheartedly agree, but the way that you've explained it is killing me. I'm loving it.
Oh dear. Now, when Bree goes to Salt then, and she spots Gage and his missus talking to Theo, and Bree jumps to conclusions. Justin is also like, asking where, parts of his car, his car parts, see if they're hot, because obviously he's heard all about, the whole River Boys, and Cash has told him, hasn't he? They're dealing with dodgy car parts here, and obviously 2 and 2 together makes Theo's new car.
Mhm.
Now, what it doesn't make, though, is when Theo's explaining that he's seen someone who's got a dodgy boyfriend. What it doesn't make is River Boy then. No one can see that. No one joins those dots.
No, that was frustrating. Like, it's only
Yeah.
everybody. This girl I'm seeing has already got a boyfriend, and the boyfriend's bad news, and no
He's
one's
really
going.
dodgy.
No one's going. Bad news. Who's he been hanging around with lately? That's bad news.
Nothing
Come
to do with
on.
that River Boy at the garage.
And the
Oh
River-
my God.
The River Boy that was with the very attractive blonde lady. Yes.
Get there quicker, Justin.
God,
Oh.
even Justin's not this thick, is he? Come on. And Justin's seen a photo. Like, Theo got a cheeky photo on his phone, and Justin saw it over his shoulder. So unless there's no face in that photo, you know what I mean? Like, does he recognise her from the photo? Because he's seen her at the garage? Yeah.
Yeah, it was a nude, was it?
It must have been a pair of boobs. That's all I can think of, is that he just didn't recognise, he didn't look at her naked boobs, so didn't see the same resemblance. Oh dear, Justin.
Yeah. I was like, we're joining the dots about the car parts, but not about that. Oh, God.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't cope.
Although, to be fair, Cash joined the dots for him about the car parts. He didn't get there himself. Cash had to spell it out. Cash was like,
true.
Cash was like, River Boys, drag racing, car parts, Theo. And he was like, oh, okay.
Theo with car, ordering car parts on Tinternet.
Yeah. He got help to get there, let's face it.
That's true. Very true. Gosh, in one foul swoop, I've insulted Justin and give him more credit than he's worth, all in one sense.
Oh dear.
Now, so yeah, and obviously he, fiercely denies it, doesn't he? And he's quite upset about it. Bats it back to him. Now, there's this meeting, isn't there, between Gage and Theo that's taking place at Sol, where Gage is trying to buy Theo's car off him for the racing. He's done all these mods. He's done things under the hood, turbo this, turbo that. I don't know. But he's declining, isn't he? He's grown attached to this green car. So the way he's talking to him is scary, though.
Yeah.
He's really he shouldn't be talking to a river boy like that. I'm thinking,
no.
Oh no, what are you doing? He's getting a bit cocksure here, isn't he?
Where's this come from? Where's cocky Theo come from as well?
I don't know. Footsie under the table while he stood there. Like, what's giving this gumption?
Don't know. Don't know where this has come from. It's completely out of character for Theo, I think this. Other people are saying it's not. Other people are saying he's got form. I don't think this is his form.
Not recently anyway. Maybe
not
in
dangerous.
his early days.
He was cocky. I get it. He was cocky when he was hanging around with Ryder, but there was no peril. There was no danger. There was no
that's true. Yeah, and he knows damn well who he's dealing with here, and he knows what they're capable of.
Yeah.
It's not like Sonny where he can blame it on ignorance and doesn't know.
He's an out of towner. He doesn't know who the big boys are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he knows better, Theo, and that's what's annoying. And we were surmising last week, and I'm gonna plow on with that theory. About that self-destruction. My life's shit. Everybody leaves. My dad beat me up. Like I deserve bad things. Why not? YOLO. I think he's going down that route, and I'm gonna carry on with that with that thought.
Yeah.
Now. Sonny's, Sonny tries to talk to him as well because he's declining the sale of his car. And then Sonny's like, right, well, do you know what? I need to get in there and try and save Theo. I can't save him from the outside. Try and get in on this racing, basically. And he doesn't get very far with Gage, does he? While Sonny's meeting Gage to talk about this inside, outside in the car park, Theo's pashing his missus. Bit close for comfort, isn't it?
Yes.
And of course, it's a soap. Gage comes outside and sees it. Now, he does react, but doesn't do the typical, what I'd expect a man of Gage's caliber to do, is to go tearing over there and rip his head off.
Hmm.
He doesn't do that. And I messaged you, didn't I, saying I'm a bit surprised. I don't know whether to be disappointed that he's not done that, or worried that he's not done that, and there could be something hella worse coming for Theo. And you were saying, yeah, we should be worried, weren't you?
I'm worried. I watched this back again, this scene where he sees them and he actually goes to walk towards the car and stops himself. And then he walks back and then he does that thing where he goes like and hides so they can't see him. And like he kind of hits himself in the head, doesn't he? Just like
Yeah, like a you
himself.
stupid plonker or whatever.
But I think it was also him kind of taking a step back because he was about to go in, and give him all guns blazing, both barrels in the face. And I think he stopped himself, and now that's worried me because I think it's going to, whatever retaliation's going to come is going to be more calculated. And he's got Theo racing for him soon. We know that. So is he going to tamper with the brakes, or that's where I'm thinking, get rid of him.
He's going to kill him, isn't he?
I think so, but I think he's going to do it in a way he's going to be a bit smarter about it than just going up and stabbing him in the face. He's just going to be like...
Or he'll get someone else to get their hands dirty.
Yeah, because let's think about it. This car is only just roadworthy. It's not really had a proper test run yet. The first thing that's going to happen, it's going to get drag raced. If that car was to crash for any reason, is a legitimate, mechanical reason why that car crashed, not because it got tampered with, potentially.
I think you're spot on now. I'm all but convinced that's going to... Why did I not think of this? Was it not foreshadowed when Cash was asking him if his car had a roadworthy certificate?
Oh, yeah. That's like an MOT, isn't it, that we have? Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, God. They're going to mess with the car, and it's going to be blamed on Theo, isn't it? And his dodgy workmanship.
And he's got form. So he's done this quickly. He's done this job quickly. Justin thinks the parts are dodgy, and he's bought them cheaply and they might be from a secondhand car that's been stolen or whatever. So there's that grey area of, is it dodgy parts? He's got form for doing, the whole Claudia thing. She had a car crash and she blamed it on the shoddy workmanship, and it was Justin that said it was Theo that worked on the car, and I'll take full responsibility for it. Like he told Claudia, Justin did, didn't he? Like it's our fault. I'll take responsibility for it. I'll drive you. Blah blah blah. So there's a mark on his record that all of this could. I mean, Gage doesn't know any of that, but we do as the audience.
All roads lead to this, don't they?
Yeah. And if Gage doesn't make it known, like if Gage manages to stay quiet about the fact that he knows about them, if he doesn't even tell Lacey that he knows, he'd get away with it because it would, he'd have no reason to do anything to Theo as far as we're concerned, as far as everybody else but the audience is concerned. Why?
Do you think,
why would he do it?
Yeah. Do you think he's going to let Lacey off scot-free though?
No. Hell no. No. I don't know what he's going to do to her, but I do think Theo is potentially going to end up in... Because they were talking about, like, even that conversation between Gage and Sonny, when Sonny was like, I'm a better driver, I've driven here and driven there, I'm not going to crash your car, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, they're already talking about Theo crashing out and, totaling the car and whatever. And I was like, there's too many signs saying that there's something going to happen to Theo. You know what I mean?
Or let's workshop this. Let's say all this gets set up with Theo, but actually last minute Sonny drives Theo's car or something.
Oh no. Oh, I'm actually getting sweaty thinking about that because that would be a really good twist, actually, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Ooh.
Oh, I'd be so sad because I feel really horrible for Sonny because, okay, the guy.
His name's Mud.
He's a bit of a galah. Let's face it. He's coming in. He's been a bit of a jealous twat. Taken Remy's credit card, kissed his girlfriend, but he's not a horrible, nasty bloke. I think he's just really. He needs to work on himself. He needs to go to counselling and get over. He's not irredeemable, is he? This guy.
Yeah.
He's not awful. But then everyone's sort of tarnishing him this week and saying, "Oh, it must be that Sonny. It must be that Sonny guy. The River Boys have only turned up since he's been in town, and he's getting all the blame." So actually, as a twist, for him to crash the car, everyone would be like, "Well, he shouldn't have got involved with River Boys, should he? It's all his fault. He brought it on himself." And it's actually Theo.
Yeah.
That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Mm.
But tragic.
And if something happened to Sonny, it would be Theo's fault
It would.
for all his behaviour.
But everybody would be like, "Oh well, Sonny's a wrong un," because they've all
Asked for
assumed.
it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, that's making me feel funny.
Mm.
Oh, I mean that would be great telly, but bless Sonny, he doesn't deserve it, does he?
No, but nothing of the sort.
Yeah. Do you reckon? Are we wrong? Are we way wrong, do you think?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I feel like that's a really good storyline.
I would love that. Yeah.
Powwowed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Or something along those lines.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. How did I not notice that that's probably what's going to... Because I thought, why is he not going over there and just killing him?
Yeah. Well,
because
I watched it the second time, and he noticeably stops himself from going. He starts to walk forward, and then he kind of stops himself, and then he goes and hides. And I was like, he's made a snap decision there not to do it, openly, and that's made me worried, because now it's like, right, I know, I'm not going to tell them I know, and I'm going to do something. So.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm convinced. I think you're spot on, Sophie. Spot on. Roll on first look. That's all I'll say.
Oh yes.
Right, Alf's back.
Yes.
Back.
Whoop, whoop.
Yay. He's gone right to the diner, like everyone does. Don't go home. And he's found out that Marilyn's moved out, doesn't feel safe at home, and it's all hell's broke loose. And we've been saying, haven't we, while all this has gone on, wait till blooming Alf gets back. So he goes home to Rue. He's got a right mood on him, and Rue has to open up about it all, the glassing, the stealing of the knife. And Alf says, "Are you sure about this, Rue?" And she's at it, which I think is I mean, it's not wrong, but her defense is, it's unrealistic to expect no behavioural issues from the things that she's been through, and I think that is a valid thing to say. She needs love and stability, and I'm trying my damn hardest. The problem is she's not accepting help. She thinks she could do it her way. Is my assessment. She's. I mean, do you remember she sat Alf and Maz down before she decided to do this and put the application in?
Yeah.
She was at it. It's a family thing. I want all your inputs. I'm going to need your support. It means a lot to me. And every time Alf, or Marilyn particularly, has an opinion or some support, for her and some advice, she dismisses it. It's my way. It's my fostering, my guardianship. It's my rules. And I'm thinking, well, you make your bed, girl. Do you know what I mean? You might be saying all the right things, but you're doing completely the opposite. It's blooming frustrating. And Rue the next day does apologise to Maz. I thought at this moment, I fell for this. I know you probably didn't. I thought, oh, she's apologising for her. She's seen the light. And, all about Eliza and everything, and, it was a shocker. And, she explains that she found the box with all the trinkets. And Maz reacts, frantically about the knife. She's like, a knife? I told you she was dangerous. The department need to know about this. And Roost, it blows up again, and Roost storms off again. And then Maz turns to Leah, and she's like, right, looks like I'm moving back home then, because, I need to keep people safe. I'm thinking, what are you going to do with a knife-wielding 14-year-old psychomaniac coming at you? Do you know what I mean? What are you going to... What does she realistically think she's going to achieve, Sophie, going back to the house, really?
I don't know. I mean, oh God, it made me scared. I'm kind of glad that was over. You know what I mean? I'm kind of glad it got nipped in the bud really quickly, because I was just like, I mean, the whole thing is like, I'm watching it going, please stop stressing Marilyn out. Like, this shouldn't be Marilyn's problem. Okay, you're right. She sat them all down, and she was like, if you're not happy for me to go ahead with the fostering, I won't do it. I need everyone to be on board. And Marilyn was so supportive, wasn't she? And she was like, oh yeah, absolutely, I'm 100% behind you, blah blah blah. She shows her so much support, and Rue never reciprocates that support, never reciprocates that friendship back to her. It's just like, it's totally one-sided. We're talking about it all the time on here, but even though Marilyn's moved out, she still feels responsible for Rue. She still feels like she needs to be there to help her. She's still stressing. She's pacing up and down Irene's living room and wondering what to do, to the point where she doesn't feel safe in that house, but she's going back anyway because her friend she thinks her friend needs her. And my heart was in my throat. I was like, I don't want her to move back in, because if Eliza, because this is my fear, Rue's gonna kick up a hornet's nest with Eliza, and the person that's gonna get hurt is Marilyn. And if Marilyn gets even a single hair on her head hurt, I'm going back to Sydney and I'm gonna riot because I'm not happy. So I'm watching the whole thing like, please don't move back in. This is the worst idea you've ever had. So I was glad when Mr. Stewart was like, pack your bags, get back to Irene's.
Gone. I was as well. And plus, I was a bit like, I was dead excited that Maz was living at the beach house. And then I was like, oh. And then she's back again. So I agreed for both reasons.
Yes.
With her staying out of the way. Because at first I was thinking, you stupid girl. What are you going to do with a girl who's going to stab you all in your sleep? Do you know what I mean?
You can't help this. You can't help.
Yeah. No matter what you try, you're not getting through. Rue unfortunately, it's going to be one of those things that I think Rue's going to have to experience and learn about herself, because she's not going to take it on anybody else's word, is she? She's too stubborn.
Yeah.
So there's that moment, isn't there? What you doing here? You thinking here? She ends up going home, like you say. Now, Alf reminds Rue that this was always an emergency thing, this placement. Always an emergency. And Eliza overhears this conversation and he's all, you want to stay here, lady? You got a lot of explaining to do. Chewing some wheat or whatever.
That's exactly how it happened, yeah.
Yeah. She lays it all onto Alf, doesn't she? She's like, like she does with Rue, it was all theft this and theft that, and all you need to do is learn. And basically, he says, all you need to do is learn that these actions have consequences, basically. Respect. She tries the manipulation, doesn't work. You're going to respect me. He goes proper old school Alf Stewart, doesn't he? Which, of course, we have adored. And the fact that it's a young person as well just feels really nostalgic. He's not screaming about the internet modem to John at the surf club. It's a difference. There's a massive. This is very nostalgic about us watching the show when we were kids. And there was tearaway teens aplenty back then. He knows what he's doing. My house, my rules, he says. And there's this scene, isn't there, where Alf's on the phone to John talking about her, on the work that he's got to do at the surf club, and she skips half of it and doesn't finish it and all the rest of it, and that was a punishment. It was an interesting dynamic, this, because Alf takes over the punishment, and makes her do all these chores at the surf club, and Rue's still on her side. She's still like, it's fine. I said to her that she didn't need to do that. Like that what punishment I gave her was enough. Like, she's almost big sisterly to her in my eyes. I don't know if you picked up the same vibes, because she was getting scolded herself by Alf.
Yeah.
It was like she was the older sibling who'd sort of let a younger one get away with stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it did absolutely feel like that. And it's like, it's another reminder to me, I think, that Mr. Stewart is a parent. Mr. Stewart's been there, done it, seen it. He knows how to do tough love, and he knows when someone is worth investing in. He's not giving up on. He doesn't give up on people easily. He's seen tearaways. He's had his fair share of people in his house that have been wronging and come good, but he gives them a fair chance. And if Alf tells you to do something and you do it, that's how he knows that you're worth putting the time in to to mentor or to parent or whatever. He knows how to do that. Rue doesn't know how to do that. Rue, to me, she's a foster parent, okay, but she's not a parent. Like, she never had a child from birth, through. She
never brought a child up, did she? She gave hers away. Yeah.
She's dabbled in parenting. She's dabbled in foster parenting. There was Maddie and various other people in the past. She's dabbled, and Ryder to an extent, although Ryder's family, it's different.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
she doesn't have the same experience as Alf, and Alf. This is where I'm really glad we've got Alf in this storyline, Mr. Stewart. Your Majesty to you, I should be saying. I feel bad calling him Alf, but he's got the experience. I'm so glad, like you said, the nostalgia. I'm watching this. I'm watching him talk to her and say, "You do this. This is my, this is reminding me of being a a preteen watching Home and Away."
Yeah.
And seeing him do this, I'm like, this is so familiar. This is so nostalgic. This is like, I can see myself sitting in my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles pajamas watching the TV, because this is so familiar, and it's so nice to see it. And it's like, I feel like if Eliza was redeemable, the person that could actually get through to her is Alf, because he knows how to deal with people that are difficult, and
Yeah,
Rue
I
doesn't.
completely agree. Yeah, and can you imagine then if their relationship came a bit full circle as a
Yes.
result?
Yes.
That would be really good.
It would.
And I think that's got to happen now, because otherwise it's getting a little bit insensitive. It's starting to cross that line, isn't
Yes.
it?
Yes.
And we'll come on to the hike in a moment, because it does start to get a little bit mad.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine what's coming next week. I can only imagine, especially when she gets back to the bay.
Oh God, yeah.
So this is conversation, isn't there? And a great scene where she's listening on the stairs, isn't she? And he's like, "Did you get all that?" When he gets off the phone, and he comes out to her and he's, "That's it. Do you think I'm like an old pair of folded dags?"
She's like, "What? What are you on about?"
Do you know what though? I just loved this. Was such a powerful scene, because this was like a Meet Your Maker type moment, wasn't it? This was, no one trifles with Mr. Stewart. You daren't cross him, right? No. And many have come and gone and haven't crossed him, right? And she's sitting there nonchalant on the bottom of the stairs going, "Are you done with your little paddy?" I'm thinking, oh,
I know.
Oh.
And then she went, oh.
I know I did. In his own house.
In his own house. I mean? Yes.
On his turf.
On his stairs.
They've creaked a lifetime. Yeah, it was so good. It was like like when a peacock. It was peacocking. It was like a.
Yeah.
You think you're better than me? Well, listen, lad. I've done some things, and I don't. I'm not scared of you, sort of thing. And how I wish we keep singing her praises, but imagine that a young girl is doing this against Ray Ma. Do you know what I mean?
And
that must have been.
She's absolutely smashing it as well. You know what I mean?
She's stellar.
She's so good. Like, you don't really want to go against Alf, but when she does, you're like, oh, the audacity. Like,
I know.
It's shocking, but it's also like, it's so entertaining.
It is amazing. And she's doing such a good job.
She is. Yeah, she's so like stony faced. You know what I mean? It's like there's no emotion. She's like she's just watching him ranting away, and it's almost like she's going, "Oh my God, what's he doing?" Like whereas back in the day, in the 90s, and he used to just, he just used to unleash hell on people and like rant it in their face, and you could tell that he proper shook people. You know what I mean? Like people were like, "Oh my God, like I've really pissed off Mr. Stewart." That was a bad thing to do. She doesn't even look like she's bothered. She doesn't even blink. It's like, whoa.
People tiptoe around him normally.
Yeah. Even Marilyn lives with him for like how many decades, and she calls him Mr. Stewart.
I know. Tea, sir.
Yes. Out of a china mug.
Not this girl. Nuh-uh.
Wow.
No. Because, and we have to assume she's. You've got to read between the lines a bit, haven't you, and try and piece it together, because we've been drip fed. But she's probably gone through worse than him giving her a few. What has she gone through for him? For that to not shit her up. Basically.
It shits me up as a
nearly
42-year-old woman.
Could hear a pin drop in here. Honestly.
I I was like, okay, what do you want me to do? I'll go and do what is it? Like, stop shouting at me. Terrifying. I mean, I love it. I'd give my right arm to be shouted at by Raymar, to be honest.
Same. Yeah, same. It's just, well, what a treat these scenes are. What a treat. Honest to God. He's not the frail old man that he sometimes comes across as anymore.
No.
You know,
and
the old fire's still there.
His hearing aids obviously are stellar as well, because as you mentioned, he can hear every creak on those stairs. So what brand of hearing aids are those? Because my dad needs them.
They do say with the hearing aid, you hear things better behind you than you do in front. Yeah.
Oh, I think my dad turns his off. He doesn't want to hear anything.
Selective.
He's like, you what? I'm like, oh, for God's sake. Anyway.
Yeah, there was a girl at work years ago. She could hear you bitching about her, but you could have a conversation with her. She wouldn't hear a thing.
Really? Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, but if you were behind her around the corner, she'd hear every fucking word.
I actually want some now. That might help me.
Caused a few arguments, I'll tell you.
I can imagine.
Right, so the next day, he's got another day of punishment lined up for her, but she's like, nah, I'm going to Harper's. I'm going for social work. You know, Harper, who's due in one day, having a baby. So she goes over to Irene's the next day, doesn't she, to speak with Harper. Then Mazzy's there, obviously, getting in the way, you know, trying to keep an eye on things, isn't she? Maz does try and take a few toilet break opportunities to warn her, you know, watch what you're doing, she's dangerous, she's got a knife. And Harper's, you know, saying, chill out, you know, and I need you to trust me, you know, we're going to go for a walk, get away from her. Stupid idea. And while Mazzy's guard's down and she's upstairs, they sneak out, don't they, and go for a drive and end up at the Summer Bay Reserve out in the bush, on a hike, on a walk. I mean, let's just Jenny it. Like, you know, let's pretend that she's not due to have a baby and she's made that decision in the midday heat.
Oh, yeah.
I have a theory that they're not as deep into this reserve as it made it look, that the car park was right behind.
I'm hoping so, but I have some trepidation about this, because we were told so many times that she drove there, that she took her own car, and this information got back to Tane. Do you remember recently she went to the city and he forbade her to drive herself there and back?
Yeah.
And now she's driven herself the day before her cesarean to the middle
He's
of...
going to go mad. Well, did you clock when Marilyn told him? Like, oh, I don't know where they are, and she didn't want to tell him. Yeah, her car's gone. She didn't want to tell him, did she?
No, but she knew how.
Yeah, but she knew he'd react. I think she had to tell him though, because that means they've gone far.
Yes.
You know what I mean, we're going to waste time looking around the pier because they've gone far. They've gone in the car. They've gone in the car. So
yeah.
They're out, and of course, she goes into labour. She starts contracting. It's very painful. When did the waters break? I don't know about women. But she seemed to contract and then contract constantly.
Yes.
Out of nowhere. Well, I'm just going to...
This happens sometimes. So, you know, like sometimes the soaps and things on TV make out that labour's like 2 days. Like your waters break and then you've got 2 days of contractions and they're every half an hour or whatever, and then eventually the baby comes and it's all... This is not always the case. My sister-in-law went into labour at home very quickly, got in the back of the car, and almost had the baby in the back of the car on the way to the hospital.
Oh my God.
So between having contraction 1 and, you know, baby delivered, less than an hour pretty much.
Good Lord.
Yeah, and that
what a dream.
And it was...
What's everyone else? What? All these women complaining.
Oh no! Well, some people have horrendous 2-3 days, and other people have like... I mean, I'm not saying hers was better. Hers was horrendous, like a horrendous hour, but at least it was a short hour. You know what I mean? It was scary, and she did think she was going to give birth in traffic on the way to the hospital. You know what I mean? And my brother driving the car, going, "Oh my God! Like, this is just not how they planned it at all."
Yeah.
And it was her first baby as well, so she'd never been in labour before, didn't know and they always say with your first one, you'll be waiting hours.
Really long.
Not always the case. Not always the
Clearly, your brother's driving, going, "Oh my god, I'm going to have to reupholster my back seat."
I think he did have to. Yeah. I think he did. I think it was a bit ruined in the back, but there we go.
Oh, that's the least of your worries, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Miracle of life and all that. Harper is. Thanks for sharing that, but I'm feeling weak again.
I'm sorry. Sorry. Yeah.
I don't do well with birth or anything like that.
Neither do I, doll.
I think I'm having a contraction now.
Do you need to go to the opera house?
Stop telling everyone.
They don't know. They don't know what I mean. It's fine.
Just more inside jokes from Science Self. That'll be the next podcast.
No, we will definitely get cancelled. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants our thoughts, our uncensored thoughts. They don't want our censored thoughts. Let's face it.
No, that's true. Otherwise, we'd have jacked our jobs in and been making it in. Right, it's high risk, this pregnancy, and she's writhing around in pain on the floor in the middle of the bush. I'm thinking, gosh, it's going to be a snake. You and snakes. So she throws a bag and she says to Eliza, "Can you ring for an ambulance?" Well, mistake numero uno, sister. Right, because Eliza dismisses all these missed calls of Tony off the phone and then pretends to phone an ambulance but doesn't actually do it. I actually took a breath. I was shocked. I thought, I can't wait for Sophie to watch this.
This was shocking. This whole episode was shocking. Everything that happened from this point escalated to the point where I was like, I can't believe that we're actually here. I can't believe they actually did this.
I know. I was the same.
It's insane.
It's mad, isn't it? Potentially now, right, by refusing help or decline, not getting help and lying about it, Eliza is could potentially kill Harper, or very highly could hurt baby.
Yeah, they had a conversation. So the day of this, this whole thing, they were at Harper's house and Eliza was asking her questions as normal, all these weird questions like, why aren't you having a natural birth? Why are you having a cesarean? Is it because it's going to hurt? And Harper said, yeah, obviously it's going to hurt and that's scary, but that's not the reason I'm having a cesarean. The reason I'm having a cesarean is because I've had a recent surgery and I've been told by my I can't say the word obstetrician, those people that are gynecologist people,
foo-foo
people. I've been told by them that a natural birth is potentially risky, either to me or to the baby or both of us. So, cesarean is the safest way for me to deliver the baby, etc., etc. So Harper's told her all this. Eliza knows all this. And Eliza's standing there watching her suffering, knowing that she could potentially, that Harper could die, and then obviously the baby could die, depending on whether she's Harper through labour or, I don't know. The baby could die before it's born. The baby could die as it's born. There's so many potentials for danger here. And as a normal, rational human being with feelings, you could not call the ambulance. Could you? There's no reason. No. Even if you hated this, that's what I was thinking. Even if it was my worst enemy, not that I have a worst enemy, but if I had a worst enemy and they were giving birth in front of me and they were in pain and I knew that they could potentially die, I'm calling the ambulance.
Yeah, of course you are. Even your worst enemy.
Yeah.
You sort your differences out later, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
The thing is, we know as well that Eliza is obsessed with death.
Yes.
He's obsessed with birth.
And surgery and cutting people.
There's context, isn't it? I mean, I don't quite understand that because she's not going to be able to be cut if she sits here and delivers naturally on the grass. Yeah. All that, yeah. But, she just wants to sit there and stare at her in pain, and that is a little bit
uncomfortable.
unnerving.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fact that she's not phased either. She's not frantic. She's not panicking. She's not running. She's not thinking, oh no. She's
No.
lying about her phone being dead. She's, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. She's declining calls for, people helping. I mean, Harper's not really. I don't think she's really aware of what's going on properly either.
No.
Because when she says, "Give pass me the phone," like, of course, when you call for an ambulance, they're going to have you on more than 35 seconds.
Yeah.
They're going to be asking you questions. They're going to want to speak to,
They normally stay on the phone with you
patient
until the ambulance arrives.
Yeah. So the fact that she's accepted that information seems a bit of a push.
Yeah.
But you have to sort of think, she's in agony.
Yeah.
She's not really noticing her surroundings. I mean, Eliza's not even lost her appetite.
I know, she wants the cereal bar out the back. I was like, really? Now is not the time for an Alpen. Put it away.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very, very unnerving to watch, isn't it? And I do enjoy being uncomfortable.
I know
So
you do.
I did like this, although I don't do well with TV birth, I must say. Don't know if it's obvious.
I think she did really well, actually. I can't imagine having to act out a labour. It must be awful. It's daunting to get that, because when you see it done wrongly, like and it's cringy, and you kind of you're like laughing at it almost, aren't you? Because you're like, oh, this is awful. I think she did a really good job. I think she did a really good job of portraying the pain. She did look genuinely pained during this scene, and it did make me feel uncomfortable. But then that was almost foreshadowed by my own uncomfortableness of watching Eliza almost happy to see her writhing around in agony. And that's when I was like, I can't believe we're actually going here. I can't believe that Home and Away, like, I know we take risks and stuff on Home and Away. We are known for that. But this is something else. This is something we haven't seen before. A character that's actually enjoying watching someone else go through agony and almost, getting off on it. It was a bit weird.
Isn't it just?
It was a bit weird. I didn't know how to feel. How did you feel? Did you, like, I don't know whether to feel like this is, it's obviously entertaining, but it's not good, is it? I don't know.
No. The thing is, I want to feel that I want to feel sympathetic to Eliza, but because obviously she's become this way because of her experience and her surroundings. She's not born like this, so she's gone through something to end up in this situation, right?
But we don't know what that is, do we?
We don't know what it is, which doesn't help. Yeah, that doesn't help. But you can't excuse the behaviour is just so left field, like, and it goes right to the wire, stuff like this, that you can't let yourself go there.
No.
With the sympathy, because this is just beyond. I just can't comprehend it.
It's sick, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It feels wrong saying that. This is why I feel uncomfortable. Like, I have to step back and say, okay, this storyline is telling me this is a 14-year-old girl. And I think about me when I was 14, and how young you are. You feel like you're old at 14. You're in that weird limbo, aren't you, between like a child and an adult, and you feel like you're older than you are and all that sort of stuff, but you're not. When you look back at yourself as 14, you go, I was a child and I didn't have a clue what was going on. I was naive AF, that kind of thing. But this girl is not a normal 14-year-old, so I don't know how to feel about this.
No, same. And I mean, and now we're in the situation where Levi and Tane are running to the reserve, aren't they, now, to the right? I mean, because Harper got hold of a phone and rang Tane. They're all assuming that an ambulance is on the way, and it's not. And I'm just like, what is going to happen when that all comes out on Monday?
Well, I'm looking forward to that, to be honest. I'm looking. That is the thing that's getting me through this, is thinking, okay, so she didn't call the ambulance. That's something that's easily found out, because there's going to be no call history for a start on Harper's phone that she'd even called, 000, whatever.
Yeah.
And then obviously Levi's there now, so he's a doctor. he will be able to speak to someone about the ambulance and why
He knows how it works. Yeah,
why didn't it arrive?
yeah.
He'll probably complain, where's the ambulance? Why didn't it arrive? He knows how to do that. And then it will transpire. There was no call. There was no ambulance. There was nobody knew about it. It wasn't highlighted. And I'm kind of glad in a way, because then this is something, and it depends on how this is treated, isn't it? So this is a concrete piece of evidence that Harper, Eliza has put someone's life in danger, or two people's life in danger. Concrete evidence. It's not just like, oh, she has a knife and hypothetically she could do this. She's actually put a person or two people's life in danger by doing this. So the question is now, what do people like Rue and Harper, who's been there, make of this situation next week? Does Harper defend her? Does Harper say, oh no, she froze, it was a really terrifying situation, she's only a poor girl, she didn't know what to do, she did her best, blah blah blah? Or does she go, I was in agony and she didn't call an ambulance and she was asking me weird questions about scars?
I think it's going to be the latter.
I hope so.
I think this is a turning point now. I think the jig's up.
I hope
personally.
So.
Yeah. And I can't wait.
I can't wait, because I want Judgy Ruru. And this is what's annoyed me this week. We have called this woman Judgy Ruru for the last 2-3 years on this podcast. And she has spent the entire day, because she went to the conference in the morning, didn't she? She went to some kind of social worker, foster parent conference or whatever in the morning. And since she got back to the base, she is sat on her ass in the diner, giving it the big, I'm such a great foster parent. I went to a conference and I've talked about how it's so difficult to be a foster parent with all these other people that are aren't I great foster parent? While her foster child is torturing a woman in the woods. And I cannot wait for the egg on this woman's face. I cannot wait.
Bring it on.
Bring it on.
That's if something happens to this baby as well, she's blood on her hands.
Oh, yeah.
Potentially again.
Yeah. And I can't wait. This is the only, because they left us on a bloody cliffhanger on Friday night and I'm fuming. And the only thing that's keeping me going is like, it will all come out in the wash. Judgy Ruru will have egg on her face. Marilyn will get her I told you so moment. And I will feel vindicated. And that's the only reason I'm going to get through this bloody weekend. Because I can't believe they've left us on a bloody cliffhanger. Oh, I'm so like emotional after this episode. It's took me. You know what I mean? Like I've been through a journey in this last half an hour. Oh, I tell you what, Si, I feel better. Thank you for indulging me and letting me get that off my chest, because I needed a rant.
Therapy. Therapy here.
It was therapy, definitely. I think there's a few other people out there that might need some therapy and getting stuff off their chest, though. So I'm going to read you some comments from...
I'm looking forward to this.
I'm also looking forward to this. So this is your say on the bay. For anybody that's new...
I say.
Yeah. Not your say. You've had your say. Although do chip in and tell me what you think about these comments. But this is the segment of the podcast where I go through social medias. I read comments and reactions from people who have watched Home and Away in the UK this week, and I read them out to Si, and we kind of have a little comment on what people are thinking about what happened this week in the Bay. But a quick reminder before we do that, we're also on social media ourselves, so search for us. We're Coastal News Podcast or at Coastal News Pod, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, YouTube, Twitter, Blue Sky. The list goes on and on and on. We're there. We also tweet along live while we watch the show. So if you're around between 6:30 and 7 p.m, Monday to Friday, we jump on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, using the Home and Away UK hashtag. We talk about the show as it airs live, and lots of people join in that discussion as well. So if you're around and you want someone else to talk to about your thoughts, feel free to jump on the hashtag and tell us what you think. And if you don't do social media, that's okay as well, because we've got an email address. So you can email us all your thoughts about Home and Away, coastalnewspod@gmail.com as well. So get involved, get in touch. This whole segment is about you guys, and without you, there's no Your Say on the Bay. So we need you, and we appreciate your input, don't we? So
we do.
Get in
touch.
We did have an email this week. We have got an email from a new name. This is someone that I've not seen in the inbox before, but
Hey
Brianna,
up.
I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Brianna with one N has
Hello.
emailed us. Hello, thank you for your email. I'm going to read out the email that we've had. So it says, "Hello there. I am so surprised that Mackenzie wants a baby with Levi. I would love to see Eden and Cash fall pregnant instead. It would be good drama." Wow, that's a lot to take in just off the bat there. So obviously, I think Levi and Mac having a baby is kind of out the left field. To be honest, I'm a bit surprised as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's took us all a bit by surprise, hasn't it?
Yeah. But then,
just one look at her daughter. She didn't even really interact much with her niece.
Not really. She was like, "Oh, you thought she was cute? Yeah, like she's cute." Like, I don't know. It has come out for me. It's a shocker, and obviously for Brianna, it's a shocker as well because she's saying, "I'm surprised that they wanted a baby." So we'll having to Jenny it, aren't we? Because they're just going for it like rabbits this week. So we're having to Jenny it. But I honestly have not pictured Eden and Cash with the baby, especially because they've only just got back together and we're only just starting to talk about the marriage thing and put that back on the table. I haven't thought about the long-term kids and stuff. Have you?
No, and actually, I don't see maternal instinct there.
No, I don't either. Or paternal.
But I mean, well, that's true. To be fair, actually, it would be. I mean, she's right in saying it would be drama because if they had an oopsie, let's say, a bit like Harper's situation,
yes,
it'd be interesting to see what what they would do and whether they would do things differently. I think they probably would.
Yes,
and that could be an interesting thing. But I don't see it would be quite refreshing for them to be a couple who choose a different path, actually. And it's not for them.
I really like them as a couple. I hadn't really thought about this. To be honest, I didn't really see marriage being a big deal for them until she's kind of
that's right.
convinced herself, and I'm okay with that. Like I'm not upset that they want to get married or she wants to put marriage back on the table. That's great. Go with it. I love them as a couple. So if it means them staying together, I'm for it. But honestly, I saw them as kind of like a non-traditional kind of couple, not the whole marriage 2.4 kids kind of couple, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I see that as well, but obviously Brianna sees something else, and it'd be interesting. I don't know. It'd be interesting. We'll have to just watch and find out what the plan is.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't see it personally, and I think it would be quite refreshing to not go down that route. But yeah, I mean, rather than Mac and Lee, I also don't see Mac and Levi, if I'm being completely honest.
No, at the moment they're really believable as a couple. They might even be. This is weird, but they might even be the best couple on the show, only because they are arguably, aside from Cash and Eden, who've only just got back together, really. So it's early days for them in terms of their relationship 2.0. Levi and Mackenzie are probably the apart from like the Justin and Leah type stuff, like the people that aren't married already.
Yeah,
they're probably the most solid couple in terms of dating.
Yeah,
because I don't think Marley and Abs are there yet. There isn't anybody else that's really a solid couple that are dating, I don't think.
Interesting.
So I think these are kind of like the most solid,
strongest,
non-married already couple, which is a bit scary.
Yeah, and they're doing it right. They're trying for a baby. They were telling everybody that want to hear it.
Yeah.
But Brianna thinks it'd be better the other two. Interesting.
Yeah. In fact, Brianna says, because Brianna says like good drama if Eden got pregnant. What she's saying is, if Eden got pregnant instead of Mackenzie, I reckon it would be kind of nice to see Eden with a baby on the show. In fact, Brianna goes as far as to say it should be twins.
Oh.
Wow. So not just one baby, but two.
Yeah. Double whammy.
Two for the price of one, doll.
really twist the knife.
Wow. Yeah. That's a lot. That's a handful and a half, that is.
Careful what you wish for.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think it's an interesting sort of point, isn't it? Because I feel like Eden as a character is at a crossroads at the moment because she's not doing the day job that she loves. She's doing the day job that she's doing to pay the bills. You know, she doesn't want to work in Salt. She wants to be a muso or something along those lines. She wants a more exciting life, I think, than what she's got now.
Yeah.
But also she wants to be married to Cash, and she wants that traditional stability kind of, you know, thing as well. So there could be a potential shake-up for Eden's character right now, whether it's a career thing or whether it's like a you know, a relationship. I don't know.
And the fact that she wants the marriage now, when she said she didn't, you know, she's showing that she is open to growing and changing, and you know.
So it's not completely off the left field, but I think personally, because we've seen her be a bit frustrated by the Kirby storyline and tell Remy, you know, I want to do that and I don't have a purpose now, and I don't want to be pouring pints in Salt for the rest of my life. I thought the next big storyline for Eden would be a career storyline where she finds the thing that she really wants to do that makes her get out of bed in the morning. And I didn't think that was babies, I'll be honest. But there we go. Interesting, though.
One to think about.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you, Brianna, for your email. Lovely to hear from you.
Thank you.
And Brianna also says fab podcast, which we have to acknowledge as well. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all of you for listening. And I don't know why you do, but we do appreciate it. And yeah, that's really nice to hear like good feedback like that. So thank you very much. Okay, so at the top of the episode, I talked about this week being a great week for fans of Mr. Stewart, or Your Majesty, His Majesty, Flaming Legend, whatever you want to call him. Like, he's just awesome. This was a great week for Alf fans. So I'm going to read you some comments about you know, Alf this week. So Felicity, not the Felicity on Facebook, says Alf's house, Alf's rules.
Yes.
Yep, don't forget it, doll. Mr. David on Twitter says Alf, legend, end of.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that.
No.
Can't argue. Emma Gravy Monster on Twitter says the affection I have for this man pretty much makes him my dad. That's how I feel. Like, I love Ray and I love Mr. Stewart so much. He basically is my TV granddad, which I say to many people, and I love him more than a lot of people I know in real life. Even though he's not, he only lives in my telly. But the love I have for this man for the last 30 years is insane.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? That constant of that figurehead of the show.
I grew up with Mr. Stewart. You know, I do feel attached to him. I do feel like he's part of my family, and you know, it's great to see him on screen anyway. But when he's having a Bonza week, you know, these storylines and the, you know, this is my house, my rules. I'll teach you respect. I was all over this, so I totally feel you. Like, I'm with you.
I think many long-term viewers feel the same, don't we?
I think so. There was lots of comments like this on social media this week. Jamie on Twitter says Alf versus Eliza, great stuff. Yeah. Bouncer Girl 2 on Twitter says, you tell her, Alf, she better not hurt Alf or Marilyn. Rue needs to open her eyes. Home and Away is so exciting. Between Eliza and the River Boys, it's amazing. So loving those.
Other people are thinking the same as us then, because we're thinking it's mad at the minute and on form.
Yeah, and these are the two storylines that are gripping me, I'll be honest. Like, I love the drama and the danger. So Eliza and the River Boys, these are the two storylines that I'm into as well.
And it's interesting drama. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's people in danger. You know, there's people dicing with danger. You know, danger.
Slicing. Slicing with danger. Slice you open, doll.
You know, there is actually peril for a change.
Yes, we like the peril. Yeah. It's exciting, isn't it? We want someone with.
Do you know what it is as well, Sophie? We don't know what's coming for a change.
That's true.
That can't be a coincidence.
So unpredictable. This whole Eliza storyline. You and I have had predictions since the start, and none of them have come to fruition. I'm glad.
Yeah.
It's not been predictable, but it's also like, oh, what happens now then? So exciting.
Can't be a coincidence we're loving it all when we've decided deliberately to not look at any spoilers.
That's true. That has helped as well. Yeah. Yeah, that has helped. Sam got in touch with us on Twitter and said, I loved heading Alf against Rue. Love hearing the fact that Alf called Rue a snowflake.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that conversation this week where I can't believe Alf knows what a snowflake is.
I know.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
And also sort of plays him into his sort of boomer stereotype as well, doesn't it?
Yes.
And especially as he's come down all old school with his "you will mop the floor and pay for your sins, girl."
Yeah.
And
now he's
that's not modern type. That's not modern parenting, is it?
It's not. And now it's like you're all snowflakes because the touchy feely, softly stuff is not what Alf is into. So
yeah.
So it was funny. So Sam saying like loved hearing the fact that he called her a snowflake. Sam shares some like insight from his partner. So his partner works in a school, and she says that a lot of, although not all of, the discipline problems that she sees within the school setting that she works in are due to gentle parenting. So maybe we do need a bit more tough love, old school parenting to sort of, but I think what he's saying is to get rid of that snowflake mentality and make kids a bit, bit more disciplined and have that old school respect that they have for, respect your elders was something I was brought up with. I'd never talk back to somebody. Even now, I wouldn't talk back to somebody and say, "Are you done?" when they've had a go at me. I wouldn't dare. I wouldn't dare. So, yeah. So obviously his take on that is that it's, she's been brought up a bit too gently. Whether that's the case or not, we don't know, do we?
Anecdotal evidence, but we'll hear it.
We'll hear it, definitely. Mr. David says the scene with Alf and Rue was wonderful. So many hidden layers there, gorgeous stuff. There's so much love there between them. They elevate every scene they're in, when they are together. And I think we agree with that, don't we? So
yeah, wholeheartedly.
It's so nice to get the two of them on screen. All the legends, actually, all the kind of, the kind of legacy characters, when they have scenes together like this, we lap it up, don't we? We take it. So
yeah, and I think we're lucky to be getting this good stuff from them.
Yes.
I think this will go down as one of the later greater stories we'll remember, because there's going to be a time when we're not going to get all this.
Oh, don't.
Yeah. In as it is now, and with that nostalgia fueled into it, we'll have different legacy people.
Yeah.
But I think we're so lucky because it's like soaps are. This story will go away at some point, and then it'll be somebody else's screen time. So the fact that we're all loving it and it's getting so much screen time, just lapping it up.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's lots of positive comments like this week about the every scene that Alf's had. Where it's been Alf and Rue or Alf and Eliza, everyone's been saying this was really great to see. This is what we tune in for. So Mr. David said, "I feel 12 years old all over again. This is taking me back. LOL." And this is why history is so important in the soap. And I feel the same way. I said to you earlier, like when I'm watching these scenes, I feel like a 13, 14-year-old girl in her, cartoon pajamas watching it, going, I remember this. I remember growing up seeing him, throw his weight around and say, but he's doing it. He's not doing it because he wants to absolutely scare the shit out of someone and be horrible. He's doing it because he thinks, for some kids that have got a certain attitude, this is how they respond. This
is what she needs.
And he's just trying it because he's like, okay, she's not respecting Rue because Rue's being too snowflakey and too gentle with her. So let's try a bit of tough love and see how she responds to that. Because in the 90s, that's how he would do it. He would take her tear away and he would go, right, you boy, you go and do this for me, and and you're gonna work in the general store until your fingers bleed, and then you're going to go to your room and eat your dinner, and that would work. And those characters...
And if you say no, I'm going to take you out on the Blacksland with a brick tied to your ankle and I'll push you overboard.
Proper mafia shit, But it worked, and he has turned around so many tearaways by this, and eventually they go, yeah, you did the right. That we've had heart to hearts with Mr. Stewart when people leave and they go, yeah, I didn't like you at first and you were really mean and whatever, but like, you've made a massive difference to my life. You made me turn my life around. We've had those people before in the past, where they've come good, and it's been a consequence of his tough love and all that sort of stuff, and they understand it. So I get it, and I don't think it's going to work with Eliza, but it's nice to see regardless.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but this is why history is important, which is what Mr. David says, because we've been here before. We know. So it's nice. It's nostalgic, whatever, comfortable. It's a comfort blanket.
Yeah.
Pop Goes the Tam Tam podcast. So Tamsin contacted us on Instagram. And she gave us a comment on what she thought, because I think you shared a clip, didn't you, of that confrontation where Mr. Stewart talks to Eliza when she's at the bottom of the stairs and says, right, this is what you're going to do, and I'm going to teach you respect whether I, over my dead body or not, which I'm worried about the foreshadowing of.
What do you know? You're just an old
man. Old stupid man, as she said to Harper. So Tamsin from Pop Goes the Tam Tam podcast says, I love how the young actress dominated in this role. It could not have been easy for her to go up against Ray, and making Alf seem like he was unnerved. Brilliant performances. So again, like praising the fact that she's just smashing this role. She's going up against these legends. And it's not embarrassing to watch. It's actually entertaining. And it's like, oh my God, this is gripping drama.
Yeah. And sometimes you can watch, you can watch young actors like that and think, oh God.
Yeah.
Swallow me up, couch. It's not like that with her, is it? She's so good.
Yeah.
She's going to have a long career ahead of her, because she's, especially being on such a high profile show in Australia.
Yeah, she's already got quite a lot of acting credits on her IMDb already. So...
I noticed, That's why she's so good, though.
Yeah, that's true.
She's only that age and she's already got all that experience.
Yeah. I think
this isn't. Some people walk onto the set of Home and Away age 19 like a deer in headlights.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Don't they?
Yeah, she's definitely not the deer in the headlights, but I do think she has got a good career ahead of her based on what she's showing us so far.
I agree.
Yeah, one to watch for sure, definitely. It's nice to see everyone enjoying this as well. So even if you're not enjoying the storyline, a lot of people, I've been reading out the comments for 2 or 3 weeks now about Eliza, about the actress, about how great she is. So, this is like the 3rd or 4th week where I've been reading out these comments. But as I always do, light and shade, and negative and positive. Yin
and yang.
There are the occasional comments where people are not enjoying it so much. So I'll go on to those. So Stephen Walsh on Facebook says, "Shut up, Alf." Gasping already.
Somebody show Stephen the door.
I'm gasping, Stephen. Oh my God. Shut up, Alf. All the grandchildren you had rock up in the bay with attitudes causing trouble, and one stranger comes to live with Rue to be given help, and you just bully her. Oh,
fair enough.
I mean,
fair.
You can see it, can't you? But also, I'm like, the audacity, the audacity.
He's speaking up like Eliza.
I'm scared. Stephen, watch yourself. Sleep with one eye open.
Stephen Walsh, are you done?
Are you done, Stephen? Wow. I mean, I get it. I can see it. You know what I mean? But I'm like, how dare you?
I know. See, every time someone just says a word to Al, everyone's like, oh.
You don't do it, do you? And if you watch his YouTubes, you definitely don't do it. And if you know what I mean, you definitely know what I mean.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. I'm not going to mention it, but yeah, if you know about his dungeon, you know. Anyway, you don't mess with him. Eliza then. So let's read out some more comments because, like I say, there's been a love fest for Eliza and obviously the actress that plays her. So let's read out some nice comments about that. So Mark on Facebook says the actress who's playing Eliza has been playing her very well. She needs to become a regular on the show so we can see how she changes into a nicer character. Now
That'd be nice.
I don't know how we're going to get there, Mark. I'll be honest, because from watching a pregnant woman almost die, it's kind of hard to come back from that.
Unless it's Alf. That's the only way out. That's the only path I can see through that now. Is if you know, we learn about whatever problems it is, she gets help, and it's Alf, and she comes full circle with Alf, and Alf will be the one that gets her back in with the community. That's the only way I can see it.
That's the only thing that would sway me, I'll be honest.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. She's
you need to get that
irredeemable.
Mr. Stewart endorsement.
Yeah. If he says it's okay, I will Jenny it, you know?
Yeah, but we'll still sleep with one eye open at door.
Oh, hell yeah. Like, I wouldn't let her in my house, anywhere near me.
Yeah.
No.
Deadbolt on.
Yeah. Absolutely. Chain, everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Booby traps, Home Alone style, you know. Everything I could think of. Ugh. Yeah, she's scary. Julie on Facebook says, good actress. She's got the monosyllabic, moody teenager off to a T. Yeah, she has. She has. She's playing very good teenager. However, Janet on Facebook says, get rid of her, playing a horrible part, ruining the best soap in Australia. Not enjoying it, Janet. Not enjoying it.
Again, you know, some people don't like that side of the bay.
Yeah. Uncomfortable, dangerous.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Samantha on Facebook says, get rid of her. She's deranged. Well, yeah, she is deranged. But that's not a reason to get rid of her in my book. But there we go. Mariana says, I'm living for the drama. So are we.
Yeah.
Tony says, how long until they realise that Eliza is mental? Yeah.
Tony.
Is she mental though? I don't know.
Well, it's a bit trivial to sort of say that comment, isn't it? But there is problems. She needs help.
She does need help.
For something.
I still don't know what it is that is happening with her.
I hope we do find out properly, because
yeah, me too.
It's the only way that's going to help her at this stage, I think.
Yeah, it's true. Okay. So, like I say, mixed comments about Eliza, but overwhelmingly positive. A lot of people saying she's playing, even if they're not enjoying the storyline, saying that she's playing the character really well because she's unnerving and whatever. So, I think
we'd know about it if she was crap. Let's face it.
Yeah, people are not shy in saying that someone's crap.
Yeah,
absolutely. Right, what about Rue? Lots of people have comments about Rue this week, as you can imagine. We did, so you can imagine what other people out there think. So Mr. David says, Rue has got some nerve. She practically invented being a judgmental bitch.
God.
And I have to say, we agree with this, because you and I, for the last 2-3 years, have been calling Rue Judgy Roo on this podcast. So, and calling her a bitch and saying she's horrible to Marilyn. So we can't shy away from this. We have also said these comments about her.
We have. Yeah, I don't know what Marilyn gets from their friendship.
No,
I really don't.
No, absolutely not. Charlene on Facebook says, Rue isn't fit to be a foster parent. She goes in with rose-tinted glasses and believes every lie that comes out of Eliza's mouth.
This is a very true assessment.
It is. You can't argue with that, can you? But however, Francis on Facebook did go back to Charlene and says,
Loves it, Francis.
Francis is a very frequent commenter on Home and Away UK. Francis came back and says, in Rue's defence, Eliza was just dumped on her, and Rue is down as the emergency foster parent, but was given little or no knowledge of what Eliza has been through, and the social workers should have placed her with someone with more experience. And again, you can't argue with that, can you?
No. Somebody of these needs, they'll know.
Yeah.
You know, that's a very, very good point, actually.
Brings us back to the room, doesn't it? Because it's like Rue is being shit. as a foster parent, but she is out of her depth, and we need to remember that,
Yeah.
don't we?
Yeah. It's hard, isn't it, when you're frustrated with her
Yeah,
to remember that.
it is. Yeah, I think it's the fact that she doesn't realize she's out of her depth that kind of
Yeah.
irks
Yeah.
me. You know,
Yeah.
I'm a foster
Mm.
parent. I know better than you. No, you don't. You
Yeah.
don't know f all because you don't know what you're doing. Yeah. And
Mm.
if she admitted that she was out of her depth, I think we'd feel more sympathetic towards her. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. This is it.
Yeah, definitely. But Frances can see it. Frances is empathizing, even though Rue doesn't admit that she's out of her depth, which is interesting. Margaret on Facebook says, once again, Rue is sticking her head in the sand and not listening to anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Said it myself today on the main bit.
Yeah.
She refuses to hear anything from anybody despite asking them for help.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she's asked people for support, and then when they try and tell her, actually, I can't support you, she's not interested.
Yeah, back off. My way or the highway.
Yeah.
My way or the beach house.
Oh dear. Yeah, it's true. Jamie on Twitter has a few times this week commented about how Rue's missing some of the vital kind of calling signs of Eliza's problems. One of them being that, you know, she's keeping stuff. She's taking things, treasures and trophies as she's calling them. And Jamie says serial killers keep keepsakes. You know, he referenced Dexter. I don't know if you've seen that series, Dexter.
Yeah. Yeah.
When Dexter
ending was a bit.
yeah, the ending was a bit iffy, squiffy. But yeah, we'll gloss over that because I did call my dog after the main character of Dexter, so that's, you know, it's ingrained in my heart a little bit. But yeah, like Dexter the serial killer, obviously he's got a backstory of hurting animals when he's a child and doing weird stuff as a child, and then escalating to hurting humans, killing humans, and then he has these trophies that he keeps, which are like basically blood from the victims that he kills. He keeps them in like a little like petri dish slide thing. So Jamie's pointed this out a few times that, you know, keeping trophies and keepsakes that are dubious, you know, it's not happy things. She's not got a box of happy memories like photographs of nice days that she's had. She's got hair, she's got blood on a bandage from someone that she smacked, she's got a knife that she stole from Mr. Stewart. These are not happy, clappy, nice memories. These are alarm bells that should be ringing, I think.
Yeah,
what Jamie's
and we
saying.
You know, we've got Nana's body at the bottom of the stairs. You know, we've got a house burnt down.
Yeah,
we've now got baby and Harper in peril. Like,
yeah, it's not looking good, is it? It's not.
No,
these are not nice keepsakes. These are not like, oh, I felt good that day because we had a nice, lovely day, and it was like a warm, fuzzy memory. These are like, this person was in agony, and I punched him in the face, and I kept the blood off the plaster that he bled on.
Yeah,
it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird. Yeah. Definitely. Jamie also goes on to say, like, you know what would have been nice? Rue having a chat with Pippa, a nice little callback for those of us who watched the show for decades. Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it, that Rue, on the one hand, she's been left to kind of flounder, no help. She's got a really troubled girl, and she's a new foster carer, and she doesn't really know what she's doing, although she doesn't want to admit that. But she could have had a call with somebody that, even Sally, you know what I mean? A phone call with somebody to say, I've started fostering, or even Maz. Maz is a bloody foster parent, but she doesn't want to listen to her either.
No, I know. Yeah, Maz fostered about
more
10 years ago,
recently than Rue has.
Yeah. Now, do you know what I prefer? I agree with that, but I actually would prefer if Rue just rang her own child.
Well, yeah. Yeah, there's a big hole there, isn't there? Gaping hole. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's not been acknowledged at all by the show, really, has it? So, yeah.
If we were going to call back to anything regarding that, I would prefer it to be... But that's personal preference. But I get that. Like, speak to somebody else who's got some experience. But like you say, she's living with Marilyn.
Yeah.
Although Marilyn didn't have the trouble, you could argue Pippa just for the whole, call back to the times of old,
Yes.
alone gimmick. But
even her own dad, like Mr. Stewart's been there, bought the T-shirt.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
He's
But
not-
like Pippa dealt with much more
Yeah.
difficult situations than like Maz did, for example.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she did, definitely. But she has got her dad under the same roof who has been there, bought the T-shirt, been around the block, met loads of people in his lifetime, not as a foster carer, but as a patriarch of the Bay, of the surf club, of taking kids under his wing. He's got that experience, and he's telling her this kid needs help, and she's not listening to him either. So I don't even know if she'd listen to Pippa, I'll be honest.
The evidence says she probably wouldn't.
Yeah. You don't know Eliza like I do.
For some reason, this is the way Rue is, and it's
infuriating.
I don't think it's going to change either, which is the most annoying thing.
No, and I think this is the most shocking part of the story, is that I genuinely believed that the foster care storyline would be the redemption story of Rue, and it would make me feel something for Rue, and it would make me feel, I don't know, positive towards her. And I actually really, more than I did, dislike her because of how she is, because of how stubborn she is, because of how she treats Marilyn. And I'm shocked that we haven't had the redemption storyline, I'll be honest, so far. Maybe it's on the way, I don't know. But so far, it's not how
we can but hope. We can but hope.
Someone that remembers all of that as well is Tweety Tie on Twitter, who says, "Remember when Rue was mad at Marilyn not too long ago? Honestly, I don't know why Marilyn is still friends with this witch."
God, witch, bitch. God, it's all coming out.
All the names under the sun. Sorry, Rue, but you're not doing yourself any favours, love. You're not doing yourself any favours.
No.
Okay, brace yourself, because now we are coming on to the comments about Harper.
Oh no. Right, go on.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to start
as I'll ever be.
We're going to start off with earlier in the week, pre-kidnap, whatever this is, with in the woods with Eliza torturing. So earlier in the week, Jamie says, "Harper angry with Tane or at herself for letting it get this far." Now, this was Monday's episode when she said, "You're no longer allowed in my life. You're not allowed at the birth. I'm going to be a single parent, blah, blah, blah." So was she angry at Tane, or was she angry because she let this run on far too long? And, she should have...
It's the age-old question. Probably a bit of both.
A bit of both, yeah. It's difficult to know unless she actually says... why, it's difficult to know. It could be anything, couldn't it? We can speculate for days about what happened, I think.
Oh, and we will.
We will. That's our job. That is our job. Mr. David says, "I think the storyline with Tane and Harper is putting people off one-night stands for life."
Yeah.
Yes. This is what you could end up with.
Yeah.
Because she was a one night. I know they tried to do the relationship thing, they tried to do the marriage thing, but she is essentially a one night stand. He thought he was going to prison. He had sex with her on the gym floor, and that was all it was supposed to be. And then the baby made it complicated, isn't it?
Said it before, and I'll say it again: at the gym is bad for you.
The gym is not good for your health, I'll be honest.
No.
Mental or physical, because you're gonna have a baby.
Don't believe what they say.
Yep, absolutely. Sheila on Facebook says, "Harper is useless. If anyone said what she said about slice you open and see your uterus, of course you wouldn't go on a drive with them. For God's sake."
I mean, when you put it like that, I mean...
Now, a lot of people, this line, it's been like the line of the week, I'll be honest. This whole, when they slice you open, you can see your uterus thing. Everybody's been talking about this line because it was so shocking. Was it shocking for you?
Well, yes, but I think I was numb at this point.
I was genuinely shook by this line. And lots of other people were as well. So lots of people commented on Twitter. So Jamie on Twitter says, when they slice you open, what the actual? And Julie said, I know, unnerving. It's not a good thing. So Jamie went on to say, you'll be awake, right? You'll be able to see your own uterus. If I'd been drinking tea when I heard that, I'd have spat it out.
It was a bit descriptive, wasn't it? For
Wow.
6 o'clock.
For home and away as well. It was like, what? What? Come again? Uterus?
This is a show that last week cut out a can of petrol.
Exactly. We didn't have the lighter fuel from the bear being burned. That was censored.
Oh, wide open uterus, go for it.
Slice you open, look at your uterus. That's okay. Where are the lines? Where are the lines? Who knows?
Right across Harper's stomach.
Oh, apparently so. Victoria Krankenwagen on Twitter says, what will it feel like to see your own uterus line? Made me LOL.
Everyone's just taken aback, but no one was expecting it, were they? That's what it is.
No, she says she's so deadpan. Yeah, that's a good description of Eliza, actually, Victoria. That deadpan, that is really good. Because every line is like, even if there's like a really emotional thing that she's talking about, there's no emotion there at all, is there? There's nothing. Scary. This is what makes her great, though, isn't it? It's just, it's terrifying. Julie on Twitter says Eliza is enjoying watching her suffer, and then shocked emoji. That's how we all felt. Julie went on to say, why would Harper go to what appears to be the middle of nowhere with Eliza when she's ready to give birth at any moment?
Yeah, why would she?
Why would she?
Why would she?
Well,
I thought she had her head screwed on, but clearly not.
Clearly not. I'm a social worker, doll. I know what I'm doing. Whatever. I don't believe you. Emma Gravy Monster has an answer for Julie on Twitter. Sorry. So Emma says, because it's in the script.
Well, yeah.
But she also goes on to clarify, and they haven't had a bush search for a while. No pun intended. I think Levi was doing a bit of a bush search this week, but anyway. Maybe two. Yeah. On 2 people. There we go.
Fully dilated, Dal.
Fully dilated. One pregnant, one not quite pregnant. He was searching a lot of the bush this week, I think. Sorry. Are you cringing? I can feel it. I can feel you cringing. Oh dear. Mr. David says, yeah, sure, Jan. A heavily pregnant woman about to go pop would go to the woods with a young girl who could possibly be dangerous and switched off her phone. Smart move, Harper. Yeah, this was dumb.
Yeah, she walked into this.
She was dumb. She silenced her phone, didn't she? Because Marilyn was calling, wasn't she? And Eliza was like, oh, she won't leave us alone. And Harper felt like guilty for almost looking at her phone at that point, didn't she?
Yeah, all in the name of trust.
Stupid. Anyway, where's the common sense? Jamie says, Harper going into the woods with Psycho while 2 days away from giving birth. They really don't know how to do this character any favours.
I know. I don't know. I've still got hope for Harper. I think out of the 2 of us, I was the one that sort of thawed with her, didn't I, as time went on?
True.
And I think this could be the making of her now. If she comes out of this, hopefully alive, and she's a really, she's going to be the best mum ever, and that's going to be what she puts her energy into, not pandering after Tane all the time. I think it could make for a really good character. True. And I'm hoping that's where we go.
Lots of ifs there, but yes, I get you. Yeah. Paula joined the tweet along this week. I don't think I've seen Paula before. So Paula says, going on a hike while 9 months pregnant with an obsessed teenage girl, isn't Harper meant to be capable of making better choices?
Yes, Paula, she is.
She is. Lots of
But
people are saying this. They don't understand they don't
baby
understand the
brain.
thought process. Well, yeah, I guess we're going to be forced to think it's baby brain, aren't we? We're going to be forced down that sort of route, I think.
She wasn't thinking right, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it is going to be sort of explained as that. Tweety Tie says, Harper is irresponsible. I don't understand what possessed her to go on a hike with Psycho. Rue is selfish, already asking Harper for help with the girl when she's 9 months pregnant. Are you okay? Yeah, lots of things like this. Nina got in touch with us on Twitter. She actually contacted us directly and said, one of the reasons I've always watched Home and Away is that I've never been able to predict storylines. But now 9-month pregnant Harper goes on a drive and walk with Psycho Eliza, goes into full labour, and permanent Theo gets caught kissing Gage's girlfriend. And then we've got a thumbs down emoji and a rolly eyes emoji. So Nina's really not happy with this story.
She saw it coming, Nina.
Yeah. Not happy.
I mean, yeah, okay, yeah. You know, we all knew she was going to go to a remote place with Eliza Psycho and end up in trouble, didn't we? That was a bit of a given. So it was a bit predictable. I will give her that. To be fair.
Yeah. Yeah, true. It's formulaic, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, soap in it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think for me it helped that I don't think the wedding side of Harper storyline was typical. Like you know, she stopped it before they got to the aisle. It wasn't the shocking, you know.
Yeah, true.
Not turning up and jilting and
it wasn't that has anybody got a you know a reason for these two not to get married? And then someone you know like the old Gypsy one where she interrupts Sally's wedding and says you can't marry him because your groom's been flirting with me for weeks. Not that. It was something different, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I think they've just got away with it.
Yes.
I would say.
Yeah, just about. Yeah. Like I say, not everyone's loving this. Not everyone's loving this story. A lot of people are. Most of the comments are positive and kind of like, wow, drama.
Yeah.
But there are people that are uncomfortable and not happy and stuff. So it's important to acknowledge both sides of the fence, I think, with this. Because it is such a massive storyline right now as well. Not everyone's gonna love this, let's be honest. So Jamie on Twitter says, I watched that entire episode, meaning Friday's episode, where we saw the escalation, where she didn't ring the ambulance, etc. I watched the entire episode in disbelief at Harper's decisions. Yeah. She's just not thinking rationally, is she? She just, a bit like Rue.
I don't know. I find it hard to think, though, would I make better choices in her situation? I don't know if I would. I don't know.
I don't think I'd be in her situation because I think I'd be like Mr. David on Twitter who says, I personally cannot think of anything worse than spending a day with a teenager. And then Mr. David and I had a conversation about what would be worse than spending a day with Eliza in the middle of nowhere. And I said I'd rather clean the shower block at the caravan park. And Mr. David came back with something which sounds like hell on earth to me, but you might enjoy this. I don't know. He said, I'd sooner spend the day with Marley listening to lyrics, someone like you on loop.
God, yeah. That's just a Sunday. That's just a Sunday for me, Dal.
That sounds utterly horrific to me. Utterly horrific. So, yeah.
Strong words from Sophie.
I don't think I could go there, Dal. I'm sorry. To talk about a different topic now, because obviously we talked about Eliza, we talked about Rue, we've talked about Harper a lot now. Let's talk about the River Boys. I don't have many comments about the River Boys, but I have a couple, and there's one in particular that I'd like your thoughts on, Si. So, first of all, let's start with Shelley on Facebook, who says, I preferred the old River Boys. This is about River Boys, Gage, Theo, etc.
Yeah.
Preferred the old River Boys. The new ones are literally just arrogant thugs. The old ones had softer sides, and whilst people knew that they were trouble, they never felt afraid of them. They were just wary of them. Now, if they see the tattoos, they look terrified. Like when Cash saw them the other day, it doesn't work with the original way that they were brought in. It's gone too extreme. What do you think about that?
I think we touched on it, didn't we? a little bit in the past few weeks, but
Mm.
everyone's going to make these comparisons constantly whenever these guys are brought back into the storyline, I think. And what the original, let's call them the OG River Boys, had, the Braxtons particularly, was that they were developed in the storyline. They were full characters. We knew the backstory. We learned the vulnerabilities. We grew with them. We saw them fall in and out of love and show their cards, if you like.
Yeah.
And then that helps, that softer side that everyone refers to is that, isn't it? You know, it's the teddy bear under the armor, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
Of course, we don't have that luxury of that backstory and development here. You know, we are just seeing, and I don't think that when we say thuggish, they're doing nothing different to what I mean. In fact, we saw blooming River, the Braxtons do armed robberies and all sorts.
Yeah, true.
Like wielding weapons about. Their MO, as you put it the other week, was drugs. Whereas these guys, it's obviously racing, but and gambling and money. But like, there's nothing that they're doing. The fact is, we don't know anything about them, and that's why they don't have that soft angle.
Yes.
I would say. Do you feel the same?
I think so. I think it's just like you say. They're very one-sided at the moment. All we know about them is that they're bad. That's it. We don't know anything about them. We don't know about their back history. We don't, because with the Braxtons, when you met their mum, Cheryl, was it?
Yes.
When you met their mum and you sort of worked out how they were brought up, and you saw Brax with Charlie, you saw Heath with Bianca, and you saw Heath with April and everyone else, and when you sort of saw a different side of each person, you could kind of go, yeah, they're a bad boy, but actually there's this nice streak to them, or there's this vulnerable streak to them, or there's this reason why they're a bad boy, or you know what I mean? There was like context there, wasn't there? There's no context to Gage. He's just a bad boy. We've just seen him, physically assault one of his gang for a very menial thing, actually, considering what Theo's doing. Theo's cheating on him. He's kissing his missus, and worse, we believe to be that he's sleeping with her behind his back and whatever. And yet we've seen Gage get physically abusive with one of his own gang for something very trivial. That was just like a weird little fight that was happening between two people in that garage a couple of weeks ago, and he physically slapped them down and said, no, like, behave. So we know he's got a violent streak. We've seen him engaging with Lacey and saying, you should have done this, you should have done that, you've let me down, getting in her face. And we assume possibly there could be a violent relationship between them. We've not seen it on screen, but there could potentially be him putting his hands on her, off screen. I wouldn't be surprised, you know what I mean, if that happened. So, but we've not seen that, and we've not seen anything that says that he's actually, a vulnerable boy, or he's got a reason why he's like this, or there's no context. He just comes across as a thug, and that's all. That's all we've got.
And that might be all we need to know for the purpose of the story. So that's why we're not getting it, At the end of the day, people don't just end up in these gangs. There's a reason, there's a path to it.
Yes.
But we might not need to know it for the purpose of this. And that's that disconnect, isn't it, when you're comparing them to the older ones, because we got all that with them. But they were permanent.
This is the new era. This is the new era of River Boy. And I'm taking it as that. I'm trying not to compare him to Braxton, Heath, and everyone else. Because this is the new era,
I think you'd be right to do that, to be honest with you, because I think enough time's passed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
he's not like
a device.
Dean. I don't think we're getting a Dean character out of this guy. I think he is more dangerous than all the ones that we've seen before.
I see this storyline more as a Theo Sonny storyline, personally.
Yes, I do.
Than a River Boy one.
I do. So. Yeah, definitely. And talking about the Sonny Theo stuff, this is the thing that I wanted your opinion on. Out of the left field, Mr. David says, I'm calling it, Sonny is in love with Theo. It won't be reciprocated, and Theo's rejection will serve as Sonny's reason to exit the show. Discuss.
Wishful thinking. I mean, that would mean Sonny would leave, and I kind of want Sonny to stick around.
Me too.
So,
yeah.
But that would be a really good arc, actually.
Be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And actually, I'd welcome that. I think that would be a good story to tell.
It would. It'd be interesting. 'Cause we don't actually know. Obviously, we've seen Sonny kiss Bree, haven't we? We've seen that, but we don't know that Sonny is a hetero character.
No.
For sure. He
No.
could be bisexual. He could find Theo attractive. He has got this weird kind of like, this week he basically put his own life on the line to save Theo because he went to Gage and gave him this weird deal where it was like, I'll drive for you. I won't charge you. You make all the money. We don't know if Sonny can even drive a car. Like he could have made up all that shit about I'm a professional racing person. I've raced in Peru and Colombia and whatever. That could have all been horseshit. He might not even passed his driving test. We've got no idea.
Yeah.
I guess he has got a car of his own. I guess he's been sleeping in it, but we don't know if he can race a car. You know what I mean? So it's weird to put himself on the line for someone that he barely has any history with.
Do you think it could be romance?
Is it something to look for? I don't know. I'd be surprised. Surprised.
Given the show that we're on, we're talking about. But yes, I think that could be an interesting storyline. Actually,
definitely.
one to think about. Yeah,
definitely one to think about. And that's it for this week's You're Say on the Bay. So I just want to say thank you for everybody for your input. Without you, there would be no You're Say on the Bay. And just a special mention quickly to Jo Lauren on Twitter, who on her holiday to Devon last weekend tweeted us specifically with a picture from the local lifeguard billboard thing out on the beach, I assume in Devon. And said, I saw this and thought of you guys because there's like a billboard. She's put a shot on. It's on our Instagram, not our Instagram, our Twitter page if you want to see it. Just saying between the flags. And this blew me away, sorry, because I was like, even when people are on holiday and not doing the tweet along and not listening to the podcast necessarily, but they see something and they think of us and they tweet us. And I felt so humbled by this. I just wanted to mention it. So thank you, Jo Lauren. You made my weekend.
Thanks, Jo. Yeah, and I hope you kept between the flags.
I hope you did,
Always stay between the flags.
Because we've not heard from you since, so check in and tell us you're okay, please. Because I'm slightly worried that you swam outside of the flags.
Those dangerous Devonshire swells.
Keep out of the rib. We need to know you're safe, but also this really humbled us, so thank you so much for sending this tweet. And thank you to everybody every week that tweets us or tweets on the hashtag or sends us a message or whatever. We appreciate every single one of you, and there wouldn't be a You'll Sound the Bay unless you did that. So just a little, I've had a glass of wine and I'm just telling you that I love you all, basically.
Please take the time to like, subscribe, and review Coastal News wherever you source your podcasts and ensure you never miss an episode.